record, share screen, and we're going to jump right into it. So today I'm going to try and keep this to an hour and a half. That seemed to be a good time, and it was better for folks who had a busy day. And we're always here to answer questions. So I've been getting the questions in between classes. After the class, you want to book something with me, I'll give you my calendar. Happy to help you any way I can. Today I call Lost and Found, sort of a play on, maybe.
This is the car. To me, it's a car.
So we're going to talk about social proof. What is social proof? It's a new term within the last year or two. If you haven't heard it, it's immensely important to you as a professional in your business. We're talking about monitoring your online presence. And we're going to do a little bit of getting found in Google. They kind of play hand in hand. You're not going to be an SEO expert at the end of this morning, but I think you'll know enough to actually show up and get on the maps if you're in a lower competitive industry and or market. So again, stop me anytime, but I just want to revisit. This graphic encompasses everything we need to be thinking about in marketing. So at the bottom, when we start our business or we start a career, we're not found. People start hearing about us. We have some success. People start viewing us as an expert. And then our job is to make sure people are always thinking about us, and we keep reminding them in very subtle ways that we are an expert who can help them solve their problems in whatever area we work in professionally and as a business, or if you have a nonprofit. I also want to bring up, we have a sales seminar training coming up. It's free. Again, it's all of our seminars are free by the very great sponsors we have for the magazine and the media company. This one is a sales training expert. This is a no joke. You're going to get in and learn something about keeping your funnel filled, how to network, breaking out of your comfort zone. There'll be a little networking component. Finding out on what people actually want from us, right? This is not Jedi mind tricking people into doing business with us. This is like interpersonal skills, learning about how to consult potential clients, how to keep our pipeline filled. It's learning about processes, not about how to get people to do what we want. So that's coming up. I will email that out at some point if you're interested. Same format as this, 3 weeks. You get a certificate at the end. You get access to Andrew Bateri, who's a great sales trainer. I think he's in Plymouth. And so I want to mention that. So let's jump right into social proof. So if you haven't heard this term yet, I think you will. Social proof is basically, I think it was discovered or created or invented in the 80s by a psychology professor. And the basic theory is, and once you hear it, you'll probably identify with it. It's a phenomenon where people follow the behavior of others, right? So common reasons being they want to fit in, conform, or they respect that person that they're observing, right? So classic example is, an athlete takes a picture wearing Nikes, and then all the kids want Nikes because that person runs faster, they're great, etc. We can do this with, if you're on social media a lot, there was a drink called Bang. It was an energy drink. They were paying influencers everywhere to feature the drink in their videos. That was a huge campaign for them. So when we think about this, it's really important it's important for two reasons. One is we need to think about that in our marketing, because that can go either way. Social proof can be good or bad, right? If you haven't had there's a phrase out there, something like, if you haven't had a bad review, you haven't been in business long enough. Eventually it happens. Sometimes you can even have a company with a similar name as yours that could be in a totally different state. They get a bad review, they get some negative publicity or something about them, and then when people are searching for your name, they're finding this information. So we're going to learn how to look and monitor that. About half of US adults said they Googled someone before doing business with them. Okay. Now, I was just talking to my friend Joe, who is not here today, that works with Krista, and he actually reminded me of a funny story that we were going to hire someone to a company that we own together. We were going to hire them to work for us in the office. And we did some this is like, 2008, right when everything imploded. We did some searches for this candidate, and we stumbled upon some social media sites, one of them being Facebook. I forgot what the other one was. Found a picture of her and her boyfriend, and the boyfriend, I think, was smoking weed and had a handgun in the photo. So I don't need to tell you this. I don't think you're going to be out there shooting guns, but the point is, my first reaction, a lot of people's first reaction is, I'm going to go looking for this person. If you're theafoley.com, people are probably just going to go to Google and type in Thea Foley. They're not going to type in, www. whatever. They might go to Facebook. They might look on Instagram. People are doing it in different ways. So 45% of those people said they found something that made them decide not to do business with them. It could be you didn't talk about a service they were looking for. It could be you weren't talking about a skill that they thought they needed in this person. It could be something negative. It could be anything. The point is, we have to be aware of this. 56% of those people who did the search said they found something that solidified their decision to do business with them. Those are kind of staggering numbers. That means half of folks you do business with or want to hire you or something about you are going to search for you, and then about half of them are going to make a decision on what they find, no matter where you came from. You could be a referral. You could have been first person contact. They're going to be doing this information. So I'm going to try this. I haven't done this video yet. I'm going to try it and see. This is a little video kind of explaining it even more in depth, what we're hoping, what I want you to take away.
Shannon is evaluating 3 great local service professionals.
Can you hear it okay? No? I got a couple yeses and a couple nos. I'll send you the video after. We don't have to go into it today. It just illustrates a little bit more about the importance of, so basically the way it goes is someone goes out on the internet, they're looking at 3 companies. They find one company that has like average 3.5 stars, couple of reviews, not much else going on. They found another company that's got 20 reviews, lots of content about them. They've been published in a magazine, they've created content. Statistically, they're gonna pick the person who has done that effort. And I'm gonna show you the tasks that we need to do to get to that point. So really easy thing to do right off the bat is, if you're gonna be out there marketing and you're growing your business, you're touching people's lives, right? Now remember, there could be someone else with a similar name out there doing something similar. It could be Thea's staging company, and they could be in California, and they may have had some bad projects, or an IT company, or a payroll company, whatever. So first thing I recommend you do is set up a Google alert. If you haven't set up a Google alert, I would highly encourage it. You can use Google Alerts for 2 different things. One is for yourself as a person. I'm sorry, 3 things. One is yourself as a professional, as a person, as a company or an organization, right? You can put in your company name, where you do business. You'll have to figure out how to do this. The third thing is, if you have a client that you've identified as someone who is someone you should be connecting with, you can set up an alert for that company and wait until they get a press release, or wait till there's an award or something that comes up, and you can actually use that as an opportunity to congratulate them. So let's say it's an accounting firm and they've got an award, and or they open a new office or whatever, and I might get an alert about that company and I say, hey, by the way, I saw you open a new office in Yarmouth, blah, blah. I'm using a real example here. Congratulations, I wish you the best. It's just a little touch point. So those alerts are really, really important for us as marketers. So a little bit more about search itself. As we all know, Google's on top of their game, on top of pretty much everything right now. 90%, they own 90% of the searches in the world. They get 63,000 searches a second. 50% of them are done from a mobile device. So again, I always talk about the importance of the phone. I would encourage you to use your phone when you're doing searches for yourself. Voice searches, try voice searching your name. You're going to get different results than if you actually go to Google, especially if you're on an iPhone. So out of those 63,000 searches a second, 15 have never been searched before ever, okay? The average person conducts about 3 to 4 searches a day, and that's probably not a surprise to us at this point. So we're out there, we're marketing, right? And people are searching, they're looking for our kind of business. How do we create an experience that really gives those signals that we're ready and we're open and we want their business? We have to create what I call positive profiles, right? So our Facebook is one, LinkedIn is one, Instagram is kind of one, and all of YouTube is definitely one. So when someone types in your name and they're getting all these profiles back, it just looks like a really rich experience. Like you've put in the effort and you're sending those signals out that you're attracting a business. Not so much from the human side, but from the computer, the search side, we want to be concerned with something about what's called NAP. And my little joke here is this isn't what we do during a presentation. This is what Google is thinking about when it's trying to match a profile to your business. And NAP stands for name, address, phone number. Hugely important, right? And I'll throw in the URL to your website needs to be exact also. Exact. If you want to get found in Google, right? Or someone's looking for your business, you can't be having different variations of your business name, of your address, maybe the city's missing, your suite number's missing. Our brain is programmed to look for inconsistencies, right? So we want to be right on our game. If you can't even list your address online correctly, what does that mean, right? Our brain draws conclusions from these things. And Google, as smart as it is completely literal. Replacing an ampersand with AND might be a completely different business to Siri, to Google, to Apple Maps, to whatever people are using to look for us. The more of these that we have that match, the more Google gives us the credibility we need to get found, okay? Well, the next question I always get is, what if I don't have a commercial address? What if I run my business out of my home? I don't want to be listing that online, and I would strongly encourage you not to. I listed my home address at one point, and the Google camera came by to do their maps photo of my address, and my kids' bikes were all out front, like dumped on the lawn. So when you typed in my business name, you saw this like car wreck of a location. I was like, this is not how I want to be portrayed. So in order to take advantage of these services, you have to have a commercial address. I went to a local co-working center. We have Cape Space and Cape Cod. It's really reasonable to get a mailbox. And if you look at my address here, 100 Independence Drive, Suite 7555, that's our mailbox. I do have a membership in an office there, but you can get just the mailbox. You're kind of skating around the rules of Google a little bit. Technically, you're supposed to be at that address during the hours you state you're open, or someone needs to be there. They do have a representative that's there. They can, if someone does happen to walk in. But you can put by appointment only. Avoid UPS. Sorry, question?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. When you talk about, it's Lois and I came a little late, you may have covered it already, but when you talked about the address issue, and I don't mean to get personal here, but were they showing what your Wolfie's address?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so, and when you had Wolfie's and 118 at the same location?
Correct. So for those that don't know, I also own my family owns a bakery on Cape Cod, and it's kind of a compound. And so it's a commercial address, but there's also residential space, and we have a second building, but it's all under one address. So, and we're on a highly busy road. So I threw out a web design sign out front because it just, why not? People are driving by, and it was good for business. However, it was bad for when people would type in my business name, they'd see all this stuff going on, including my kids' personal life. And it just wasn't this wasn't the signals I wanted to send. Cape Space, when you Google Cape Space's address or you Google my business now, you get a nice commercial front, the signs
Yeah.
out front, you see parking. It looks like a legitimate business.
Okay.
So for the
I
30,
just wanted to make sure I understood that. Thank you.
yeah, sure.
That's what I thought it was.
Right. So I made a decision. Like when I first started my business, I thought I'd stay at home, I'd make a little money, and then at a certain point, I really wanted to make something of this. The $30 a month investment was nothing when I had changed the goals in what I was looking for. So post office boxes and UPS and some of the smaller business center type places that will rent mailboxes, those are directly against Google's guidelines. A lot of times you can't even establish an address. You definitely can't establish one at a USPS, a post office. And a lot of times I have customers go out and they get a UPS box, and then I go to try to register them in Google, and Google says, no, you can't do this. This is not a place. This is not an office. It's a mail center. So they're really strict about how you can get your commercial address set up. And let me jump ahead here. I want to remind people, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Google's goal is to provide fast, accurate, and secure answers to a question, right? 63,000 searches a second. They need to make sure that every single search comes back with good information. If people could just go out and open up UPS mailboxes and start spamming all these businesses, that's really bad for Google. People wouldn't use it anymore if they couldn't actually find services that were meaningful to what they were searching for. Sorry, I just want to jump back a little bit. So in addition to, our normal profiles, making sure they all match, creating a Google My Business profile is huge. That's a whole separate ball of wax. If you need help with that, we have a whole separate webinar I can send you. It's fairly easy to set up, hard to optimize. But this slide here has a list of all of the largest, really profile sites on the internet that you can go and create profiles for. So if I were a new business, I can go to all these sites for free and establish a profile, add my logo, add my name, address, phone number, put in my business description. When someone goes to type in your name, I'll send this slideshow out after, so don't worry about taking it down now. If you create all these profiles and then you go and Google your business name, chances are a lot of these are going to come up on page 1, right? Even if there's another company with a similar name. Secondly, I've had plenty of businesses, and I got a review once because I got a 1-star review because I was closed when somebody came. My own business, right? That's the world we live in today. If someone decides to go to Foursquare, right, or Yellow Pages and just leave, I hate to use the word dopey, but that's the only word that comes to mind, some ridiculous review, you were closed, or I called and they didn't call me back. They could even have the completely wrong company. I've had that happen also. I have an attorney. She had a bad review from someone that she was never even a client with, or she had a review from, she beat another attorney in a court case, and that attorney's client reviewed her. So that's what we're dealing with. You want to have control over these profiles. You do not want other people to have control of these. You want to create them and lock them down. Individually, I would strongly encourage you as a professional to also go out there, create profiles in the most prominent places, lock them down, take control over it. You want to be notified if somebody tries to review you or they give some weird endorsement on LinkedIn. You want to make sure that these are all in your control. Okay. Lastly, I'll give a plug for Lois here at the Dentist Chamber. We're a chamber member, and she's really great about making sure we're on her website and well represented. It has our name, our address, our phone number, what we do. Those associations, or if you make a donation or you have some fundraiser involved in, those links to your website and those name, address, phone number listings are hugely important, right? If you're, this is really bad to say, as a business, if you're donating to another organization, you want to make sure you get recognized. I hate to say it, but it doesn't cost that organization anything, and it allows you potentially to get your word out there, which in turn allows you to donate more in the future. So just think about that. Those associations, anything you're involved with, giving things away. There's also a lot of industry-specific sites. So if you're a realtor, for example, you've got Zillow and Realtor.com. I think you can create free profiles. And there's a bunch out there. I would strongly encourage you to go and lock these down. Press releases, this is huge for you. This is free publicity. Media outlets, I can tell you firsthand, they're looking for great things to talk about. I know the news is negative. I know there's a whole lot going on right now, but media outlets are looking for good, positive things to talk about, right? If you can't write a press release, there are services out there that will do it for you. There are examples you can follow where you kind of plug and play what you're doing. You want to make sure, and we have a press release seminar coming up, how to create them, how to distribute them in November, that we'll spend a whole hour on it. You want to create meaningful, non-salesy releases, okay? If you hire somebody, new staff, or if you give someone a promotion, you open a new office, you not so much add a new service, but maybe if you add a whole new division. These are all great things that local newspapers and outlets will pick up. In that press release, it's linking back to your site, and you're putting your name and your address in that press release. This is telling Google, this is telling people when they search for you that you're legitimate, okay? I would recommend, even if you only do it a few times a year, look in your local area, and I have plenty of contacts also I'm willing to share. Find your local newspapers who you can establish a relationship with and email them personally and ask them, hey, we had this, we hired a new staff member. Would you be willing to print this for us? And there are services out there that you can actually pay for. Some of them require membership. You basically put your credit card in and give them the release, and they'll distribute it. Whether it gets picked up or not, it's an unknown. So I would recommend establishing those personal relationships first. But I do releases over the wire because I need a lot of links to the sites that I'm working on, and it's more, in the vein of what I'm working on. I may or may not want to go that route at first. So let's recap. We know customers are looking for us. We need to find all these profiles, lock them down, and control them. We need to have controls in place if something does write something bad about us. I would recommend you always start, if it's a mistake on a review, you start with something like, dear so-and-so, I'm really sorry to hear about this review. However, I don't have any record of doing business with you. Could you please contact me? Our customer satisfaction is #1 priority. Please contact us, use this information. So at least if you can't get it scrubbed, someone reads it. If it's a fake review, I think people are smart enough to kind of sift through some of the garbage. If it's something that someone did and unfortunately they had a bad experience, I would take out the not having record of doing business with them. It's, geez, I'm really sorry. Try and make the situation better. If you're in retail, you deal with the public, you're going to deal with this a lot. At our family bakery, if you don't look up and smile and sometimes kneel to their feet, they feel like you don't care that they're in your building, and you're gonna encounter that. So be prepared. It's going to come eventually. Once you get through this process, I hate to say it, you got to start over. I would recheck these profiles and keep searching for yourself. I search for myself every couple of months. Set a calendar reminder. It's really important. Remember, if you're out there and you meet someone and they Google search you and they catch something bad, there's a 46% chance they might not do business with you. So this is super important. Any questions on that so far? I know I kind of boogied through that. I'm making a really good time. So part 2 today, if you At the end, we'll talk about Facebook ads if folks want to hang around. Um, is there anyone who actively wants to get found in Google? Can show of hands or unmute and say yes.
Yeah.
All right, great. So we will focus on this. I'm trying to appease the whole group today. So important statistic: 88% of local business searches from a mobile device result in a call or visit within 24 hours. Okay. Now, that's great for us, but we have to understand they may also be calling competitors. So in your searches, you're going to start to learn to see who else is out there, right? And you're going to know those companies, and you're going to start to use that information as people contact you online. So I get these questions all the time. You know, I'm an attorney in, you know, in Boston. How come I don't show up in Google, right? I've got an office, I've been doing this for 20 years. Why don't I show up, right? So I always ask the question, how many planets are in the Milky Way galaxy, right? And I don't mean this to be snarky. There's 250 billion planets in our galaxy. Our galaxy is huge and vast, and there's so much there. Google indexes 30 trillion web pages, okay? So imagine the amount of work that Google has to do when you type in your little query. It's got an amazing amount of work to do. And it's fairly obvious to us as humans when you look at an attorney, but it's not obvious to Google. Google is just reading information. And I said this before, Google's goal is to provide fast, accurate, and secure answers to a question, okay? So you come showing up, or I come showing up, and I do this all the time because I do it for a living. I should show up on the first page of Google. You know, I'm a marketing guy. I'm in Hyannis. Why is this other company showing up? Google basically just says, why you? Why should you come up? You need to tell me why. SEO or local SEO is really going to solve this for us. We're going to help Google understand. We're going to use Google kind of gives you a process for optimizing your website and the information you give out to the world, right? You need to tell Google, it knows nothing about you. You have to tell Google what you do. And not just Google, you know, everything we do is going to apply to voice searches, to Apple Maps. This is going to go across the board. You have to tell the world, what is it that you do? Is it a product or a subject matter or a service? You have to tell the world your location, right? There's plenty of IT companies in California. Why do you need to come up over here, right? What's your service area? Last thing is the most important is establishing legitimacy and popularity. Google calls it EAT, expertise, authority, trust. And here's an example. So I am in, pick a country in the world. Russia's a hotspot. I could be in Russia, get a fake PO box or just get a fake address and say that I am an IT company and I'll fix whatever's wrong on your computer for $99. Just enter in your credit card information and we'll follow up with you. Those companies can just set these things up and just start taking money from folks. Well, how does Google combat that? It combats it with your Google business listing, all those profiles that we set up, establishing that authority. That's how it weeds out all the garbage and all the scammers. And if you follow the process in the beginning of this, you're well on your way to actually getting found into Google and having Google trust you. So, okay, great. So how do I start this process? Well, first you want to do keyword research, right? That is, what are people actually typing into Google? If you go to google.com and you start typing, divorce attorneys, and then just let it fill in for you, you'll get all kinds of relevant information that people are searching for. There's also a tool called Google Keyword Planner that you can create a free account and you can say, this is my geography and I'm in IT, or I'm in managed IT services. And it will give you a list of what people are searching, how many queries a month, all the variations. And you're going to have to pick a very limited selection, because if you think about our vernacular and adjectives, there's lots of different combinations, and we'll get into that in a minute. We need to claim our Google business listing. If you haven't done that, I have a video on how to do that. It's really easy. You just go to google.com/business. You search for your business. It's going to send you a postcard. I'll get into that a little bit more. You get a postcard in the mail with a code. That's how you verify you physically live at that address. Hugely important. On-page optimization is taking those keywords and things that people are looking for and putting them on your website. Off-page optimization is creating those profiles we already talked about. And then the last step, if you want to get found in Google, you have to monitor this and track it, right? How do you know it's effective or not? And we'll talk a little bit about that. So you can go to business.google.com, you type in all your information. As I mentioned earlier, you'll get a postcard sent to you with a code. That's what keeps people from lying about where you are and creating a fake company. That's your very first step. When you get that postcard and you go to Google My Business, I want you to click on every tab, every option, every single place you have information that it will accept from you, put it there. If it gives you a description for 750 words, put in 750 words. If it's asking you for a logo, put a logo. Exterior photos of your office, put them in. I don't care if you have to fill out everything. Okay, so let's talk about keyword research. I mentioned the Google Keyword Planner. You just Google Keyword Planner. They change it every month. No one ever knows where it is. You just have to Google it. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's going to ask you for your product or service. It's going to ask you, who are you targeting, right? You really want to start relevant to where people are going to hire you. If you deliver a person-to-person service, you're not going to put all of Massachusetts, right? So if you're a remodeler, for example, maybe you don't want to travel more than 45 minutes. The reality is most customers don't want you to travel more than an hour to them anyways. They want to use someone really local. So think about when you're doing these keyword research, what's the really comfortable distance that someone's going to hire me from? I would recommend that's where you look for your keywords. You type something in, it's going to give you a million different options. It's going to tell you how many average searches, and it's going to tell you how competitive that key phrase is. So if I'm a web designer, I want to avoid things like web design, right? It's too broad. You want to look for key phrases like hire the best web designer, hire expert web design companies, expert web design companies, the best web design companies, WordPress, which is a platform, WordPress web designers near me, WordPress web designers Hyannis or Boston or wherever you're located. Start with where your office is located if you're going to use a word like Boston or New York or whatever. Try and get a little bit more focused. So I've got a client, he details boats, right? And when I was doing my keyword research, there were a lot of things like how to detail a boat, or boat detailing products. Boat detailing products means, to me, someone's learning how to do it on their own. They want to go buy a product. Now this guy's actually doing the application. That's not a great phrase for me. So think about the intent of what someone's searching for. I like to take a spreadsheet and I make columns. So my first column is a page on my website. What is the main phrase I want to be found for on that page? And then I start to break out blocks of content that use that phrase in different ways. If one of my phrases is Cape Cod widget, let's say my best key phrase I think is widget designers or widget designs Cape Cod. I will use that on my homepage. But let's say there's a lot of people searching for Cape Cod widget companies, right? Small nuance there. I'll create a separate page and I'll create content for that page, okay? I'm breaking this down really simply here. There's a little bit more involved, but you need to start to compartmentalize your key phrases and having the information on your website. Now, again, we're telling the world that we're a Cape Cod widget company, okay? We're telling the world that we're a widget designer. This is really important to make sure your site has this information. What you want to avoid is really spammy text like, are you looking for the best widget company on Cape Cod? Well, guess what? You just found the best widget company on Cape Cod. Read a little bit more to learn why we're the best widget company in Cape Cod. That might work, but someone's going to read it and be like, what's the deal with these people? You know, it just doesn't sound right. Mark, do you have a question? I see your camera came live here. No?
Sorry, I just showed up here. Just got done flying.
Okay, looks like you're still flying. So don't get hung up so much on this first. Think of it as an exercise you're going to go through, and you will go back and tweak this multiple times. When you're working on a website, there are elements you can put on it called heading 1, heading 2. When you put an image, it'll ask you for an alt tag or description. You want to make sure you're using these elements and they're filled out, okay? So we can get into that a little bit more later. Is there anyone who's interested in looking at Google My Business, clicking around a little bit, seeing the options, or are we good with that? No, we're good? Yeah, okay. All right, I'll keep moving then. We can go back at the end. We already discussed web design, I think it was our first week. So we want to remember all of these things that we learned. And there are tools out there that will help us with this. If you have a web designer, they should know what these things mean. If not, I'm going to show you a couple tools that you can run your URL through, and it will give you a bunch of things that you might need to fix. So one of the big things is natural text on the page. From your website, you want to be linking out to other informative resources. So if you're talking about a page that talks about safety, right? Airline, you know, FAA safety, for example. I don't know, Mark, I'm reaching here. Maybe you want to link out to the FAA website, or you're referencing something and there's a government resource out there that you can link to give people more information. Google loves it when we give people more information. If you give a link to the FAA, it says, Mark not only cares about himself, he cares about the reader and making sure they get an answer to their question. Remember, which is Google's original goal here. So if you have lots of information and you're linking out, I would recommend obviously non-competitive resources. That's going to look really good for you. I would also consider linking out to YouTube. Make some really basic videos, create a YouTube channel, link out to your own YouTube channel. That's more content that people are going to potentially find. And again, you know, if you're out there making YouTube videos, it says something about you, that you care about the content and you care about your customers getting the right information.
Hey, Dale.
Yes, sir.
So that's exactly one of the things that I'm wanting to do with my website, is have a resources page for my students.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to have a number of different links to both FAA and other helpful resources that they can get, you know, off the internet for getting weather, getting safety information, you know, regulations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so I would recommend, that's also, Mark, the really grounds to create a newsletter, right? We talked about newsletters previous. Once you start to create this content, it can be used everywhere. You can make a YouTube video out of it. You can put it on your website, put it in your newsletter, put it on social media. It takes so much time to create meaningful content. The more channels that you can feed it to, the better off you're going to be. And if you're using YouTube, Google loves YouTube, they own it. So if you're creating YouTube content, even though it's linking to your own channel, it still sees you as helping the reader.
Yeah, I actually created one over the weekend, and mostly I was just trying out a new camera for a student to see, so they can see what they're doing, you know, kind of review their lesson.
Right. You know, someone else have a question?
I did. One of the questions I have is that there are links out that you will put on your site or wherever it's going.
Mhm.
But one of the concerns that I have is making sure that they return to the site, to like the Dennis Chamber site. Even though I may be linking out to a business, a referral or whatever, I want them to come back to the site if they want to continue a search. How is that done? Or is it,
Yep,
that's,
that's a great question. So most of the web platforms, and specifically on your site, when you create a link,
yeah,
option for more I think it's called more settings or more options.
okay,
There's a box you should be able to check that says open in a new window.
okay.
So you want to make sure that's always checked if you're taking someone off of your site. That's a great question.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you definitely don't want them to leave. Now, the more time someone spends on your site, the better it also looks to Google. So if I've got 2 resources and they spent 40 seconds on Dale's site and they spent 4 minutes on Mark's site, Google starts to think, Mark's probably got better information. I'm going to serve. And this is all theory, by the way.
Yeah.
Art and science. We would naturally say, well, yeah, maybe Mark's site was harder to use. Maybe there was more information, but it could also mean that someone found that resource to be more relevant. And it's watching us. It's knowing all these things. So let them open to a new window. The old window stays open. It still kind of sees you on that old site. That's good for everybody.
Okay.
Maybe Mark's site had cool airplane pictures on it.
I mean, who doesn't like watching airplanes fly around? Unless you're afraid of heights, I guess. But any other questions? Okay, so let's keep going here. We're making really good time today, so we'll have plenty of time if we want to dive into Facebook or ask questions. So let's review what we've done. We've created a Google business listing. We've told Google all kinds of stuff about us. We've posted pictures. We created all these really rich profiles about ourselves online with photos and name, address, phone number. We've gone to our website. We've added these keywords to our website. We've made sure it's fast and it's loading and we're doing things the way we should be. We need to go back to thinking about off-page again. We just talked about, so Yext is a service that you can just pay a fee. You go and you pay it and they'll monitor it for you and you don't have to think about it. I think it's $40 a month. They'll monitor the best listings for you. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is the other messed up thing in our world. Someone can go to Mark's company and say, he's actually not at that address. He's over here, or he's closed on Mondays, or he doesn't actually do this. He does this other thing. And if you don't approve it within a certain amount of time, a lot of these sites will just automatically make that change for you. Facebook and Google are notorious for it. I have companies that I represent. I swear they have competitors that say that we're always closed. It says someone's made a recommendation and it's like Monday through Thursday closed. And I'm like, no. But I get a notification about it. So I'm good about monitoring these things. Yext will do something similar for you. There are other products out there. Bright Local is one. If you're really serious about getting found in Google, you want to explore these products and what they can do for you. Signals, I talk about signals a lot, right? Only keep the social channels that you can keep fresh content on. Don't create I can't tell you how many people have a Twitter account and they haven't posted to it for 4 years, right? Just shut it down, right? Or make sure that you are providing that content there. YouTube channel, this is another great time to say, don't be discouraged if you don't see results. Most of the YouTubers that we see today that are millionaires, they spent years and years and years and had 10 views on their video. And then one day it got suggested and 1 million people came and saw it and those people are off and running. Think about, you would spend an hour, I say this all the time, you would spend an hour, if someone wanted to learn about your business, you would spend an hour with that person, no question asked, learning about them, developing this relationship. If you get 10 views on a video, consider that a great thing, not a bad thing. Don't be discouraged if not a lot of people look at these. That's 10 people that learned about you and you didn't have to do anything. So I want to just bring that up right now. Establish social media channels and commit to them. I create a calendar. We have certain days of the week where we do certain things. I actually get a reminder and I have to close it out. Just posting willy-nilly isn't really going to help you. Getting links to your pages that we that spreadsheet where we talked about our key phrases and what we were going to talk about, try and get links to your homepage or those landing pages, right? Now, how do we get links? We can, all of our profiles that we created have links to our website. Any organizations that we have affiliations with, like chambers, they have links. Fundraising opportunities, press releases, offer to go create content for someone, a local magazine, a local newspaper. Hey, could I write an article about cash flow once a month or about something? Trying getting those links back to your site are hugely important. Reviews, okay? This is what I would consider off-page optimization for Google and for people looking to hire your business, right? Doing that search. Google, Facebook, TripAdvisor, Trustpilot, and Yelp. I can't stand Yelp. You probably know why. Everyone knows why at this point. They promote fake, bogus, horrible reviews. I still recommend you go and clean your profile and present a rebuttal. What they do with it is their own business. So a strategy that I've employed for great reviews, which is going to help you in Google and if someone's searching you, is I create a survey of, say, 3 questions. And when I'm done with a project, I don't ask someone for a review because, one, maybe I didn't do a good job, right? Maybe there was something that I could have done better that I don't yet know about. It's not my personality to ask for that review. I want to know how we did. First question, how would you rate your overall experience? Needs improvement, satisfactory, met my expectations. What could we do better? Or, and then I'll say something like, can you think of a time why you gave this response? And then I'll say something like, would you recommend this to a friend? Yes or no, and why? And then I forget what the third question is. It's a little different for each client. 3 questions, really simple. I send it off, and the folks that didn't have a great experience, if there was something that I had missed out on for whatever reason, I learn about it and I fix it and I do whatever I can to make sure they leave happier than when they started. If they're already happy, then I'll follow up and say, really appreciate you doing this. I like the examples you use. Would you mind if you gave you a link to Google to leave a review? By the way, here's what you said in your survey. A lot of folks don't know what to say. It doesn't have to be, but here's what you said. If you feel so inclined, would you mind leaving us a review? I put the link to Google. I put the link to Facebook. I put the link to wherever. For me, that was a great way to get reviews. So at our family bakery this summer, I harvested 350 5-star reviews using this process. Now, granted, there's a lot of people coming through the door, but even 10 5-star reviews for your business could be the difference of losing a deal or not. And we already talked about this. Moving on to links to your site: newspapers, schools, nonprofits, your affiliations, Web 2.0 links. A Web 2.0 is just Facebook or Blogger or the blogging platforms out there. I can give you a list. If you make it to this point in your career and you wanna take your SEO to the next level, there are other ways you can boost your prominence online. Any questions on this? I know this is like a huge concept I'm dropping on you. Okay, so how can we did all this work, right? What's it doing for us? No idea. Well, it's our next job. Put another hat on in your business. We need to track how Google sees us, right? There are some tools at the bottom of the screen here. We've got SEMrush, Moz Local, Serposcope is not a great one. Web SEO is okay. Bright Local is great. These tools will help you see where you are in Google. You can actually enter in the key phrases and where your location is, and it will tell you what position you're coming up in. And it'll actually give you suggestions on how you can improve it. It might be adding text to a page. It might be more links. And it will also help you track your competitors. So you can spy on your competitors and see what are they doing to get found. Because there's a lot of similar concepts in SEO, chances are a competitor who's ranking might be doing some similar steps. So it will try and guess what they're doing to rank, and you can use some of their concepts. And it will do a search. So like if my office is Hyannis, I can say, do the search from Hyannis, and it will do an anonymous search. When I'm logged into Google, or when I do it from my phone, a lot of times technology is going to try and massage it a little bit based on my prior experiences. This is going to give you a real blank slate look at what's happening. Okay, really, really important. You're going to make some changes and your site could drop in rank. Not a big deal. It's not something to freak out about. You go back, change it back, try something different. That's all of SEO. It's just really trial and error based on recommended techniques and recommended steps from a lot of them come from Google themselves. So that's it for local SEO. I do have a cheat sheet here at the end. I'll send it to you. It's got some free tools in there that will test your website, will give you your top citations or profiles you should create, how to do your keyword research. And then, so people love this part. This isn't the end, it's the beginning, right? This is an infinite loop, right? I want to leave the rest of the time today to really just open the floor up and say whatever you want, because this is really the beginning of really need to be disciplined about this. Pick the activities you're going to do and stick with them. We are going to offer, we have about a dozen more webinars we're going to put together that are 45 minutes. MailChimp, Constant Contact, Google My Business, a full-blown, really in-depth SEO workshop. Facebook again, Instagram again, Facebook, LinkedIn, we're gonna have a really in-depth LinkedIn discussion. So if you have anything else, please let me know. For right now, I was going to show you a couple tools that I use to create content, which you're going to need everywhere. So I'll shut up for right now. Does anyone have any questions? Everyone on their first cup of coffee? Any questions about SEO? No? No? Okay. All right.
I think you laid it out really well.
You know what? I mean, this is supposed to be a primer. I have a whole hour and a half long seminar I can give you. You really got to get going on these concepts and then get stuck, right? And then figure out what do I got to do to get over this little hump, just like anything else in our business. So right now, I want to show you Canva, because I think there were a few folks that hadn't heard of this. I'm sorry, Mark?
I'm sorry, this is all you're gonna post this, a copy of this presentation?
Yep.
Sorry, I missed it.
Oh, that's okay. So Canva is there's a free tool, there's a free version and a $10 a month version or $20 a month. I have the upgraded version only because it gives you a little bit more. But basically, anything you're doing in marketing, pretty much, this has a great template for you. Instagram posts, Facebook, gift certificates, newsletters, a LinkedIn banner, all your social media banners, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. So if I want to create an Instagram post, I can just click Instagram post and it gives me the dimensions that I need to post well on Instagram. And it also gives me cool little templates, right? So I can just click a template, and then I can come in here. I can change the text, delete it, and now I've got something that has been done by a designer. It's already has some really well thought out concepts. One of the things that I would recommend whenever you're creating a graphic, you need to think about ratio of text to imagery, okay? If you want to boost something on Facebook, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, Facebook does not allow more than 25% of the total area to be text, okay? So if I were to make this graphic, I would probably delete this text altogether. I might make this image a little tiny bit bigger, right? I'm not real crazy about this graphic. It doesn't fit with a lot of what I'm doing. But I might take this down, or I might try and just make the text a little bit bigger, because this text is going to be tiny on a phone, right? All I have to do is when I'm happy with it, it's being saved in the cloud. All I have to do is just click download. I can make a transparent background. I can compress the file quality. If it's going to my website, I can do anything I want with it. I can upload my own photos. So I had to make a graphic recently. I wanted someone to be super excited. So I went to Pexels.com, which I mentioned to you before. And I typed in, you have to be careful what you search for, by the way. I typed in excited and I got some mixed results back. I know, I'm sorry. So I put person with hand in the air, right? And I eventually settled on, I found these two people that I thought were kind of cool. So I used the Canva layout or the design, and I just found my own people, right? So I took the Pexels picture, and then I went to a site called, I think it's called remove.bg, right? So you can upload, so I'll just find a graphic here. I'll type in happy. Right? So these people look happy. So I'm going to free download it. I'm going to come to remove BG. I'm going to up that background. I'm going to upload this photo, Now it's taken that background out for me, and I can use that photo in my Canva, and then I can change the white to any color I want. I can change it around really quickly. I am not a graphic designer, but you can see very quickly you can make some really nice looking graphics, right? That's going to be super important when anything you're doing. When you do your website, when you create your profiles, you might need a certain size logo in your profiles. This tool will help you do all of that. Any questions on Canva? All right, great. So next thing is I wanted to talk about, we had Facebook originally on the docket, but it was kind of split. There were more folks who worried about reputation and SEO. So I want to just cover this really quickly. When you're working, I just want to cover some really basic social media concepts. When you're posting on Facebook or Instagram, people's faces get the most reach. So if you're new to this concept, if you have 500 people that follow your social media and you post something, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube, even if you're subscribing, can look at that content and say, I only think there's about 100 people that are interested in this type of content. So that's why when you post something, you might have 1,000 followers, but the reach is only 100 or 150. The number one concept you need to think about is Facebook, just like Google, just like any service, they want to keep you on their platform. So, or they want to keep you coming back to that platform. So if you're creating people's faces work the best. You don't want to just go to Facebook and paste in a link to something. That's not going to get a lot of reach or engagement. Folks are going to have a hard time getting interested in that. So think about people's faces. You know, so this is a post we just posted this morning. I did an interview with Dorothy Savarese and Matt Burke of Cape Cod 5 because we're promoting this Green Climate Initiative conference. You want to think about putting pictures of folks' faces, trying to keep links. So right here, this is a no-no that we actually did. You want to try and put your links. I always like to do link in the first comment, right? Because Facebook looks at this and says, I don't really want to send someone out of Facebook. I want to keep them here. So I usually do it as a comment. Now let's just say this is a really important piece of content, and I don't want to create a whole ad. Facebook has this whole ad platform that's really confusing. I just want to get this out to more people. You have to remember you can't have more than 25% of text on this photo. I can come in here and just click boost post, right? So if you haven't boosted a post, and Mark, I'll tell you, Wolfies, I built Wolfies on boosted posts, hands down. We grew our audience from 100 people to 6,000 in a few years, literally just boosting posts between $5 and $25. And in our early years, I would do 3 or 4 a week. And I learned very quickly that people using the product, people's faces, more of that emotion did way better. And then putting money on top of it, which is how Facebook survives, you could get 10x reach. So I have already gone in here and created an audience, but when you come in here and you go to boost a post, the first time it's going to ask you about your audience details, right? I use the map feature, and you can come in and click latitude and longitude, men, women. I pinpointed all the areas that I wanted this ad to go to. So obviously this is Cape and Plymouth business, so I picked everywhere from Middleborough to New Bedford. I can also, really importantly, create audience types. So I recently had a client who performed infrared inspections on big buildings. So I started to come in here and I started to browse for different types. So, you know, who's going to hire an infrared inspector? An infrared inspection company. Well, probably maybe a building that has a leak, but who's in charge of getting that fixed? Facility managers, engineers, facility assistants, property managers, right? So you can come in here and you can get so detailed. I can say I want to find folks, and my angle was, let's just say the facilities manager might not be looking, but maybe their assistant is. So how old would an assistant facilities manager be? I don't know, maybe 30 to 45, maybe a little bit older. So I can play with the age range here. I can put in my locations. I picked locations that were along the highway where his office was, so I could make it convenient for him, because I had a potential to reach 8,500 people. So this targeting, the more targeting you put in here, the more it's going to cost to reach those folks, but the better the range is going to be. A second philosophy I want you to think about when you're boosting posts on Facebook, and by the way, I can also push this to Instagram if my accounts are connected. We have to think about broad reach a little bit. So I'll use the IT example, right? So only certain companies will hire an IT company. You probably have to have, I don't know your business, but I'm assuming your target client has at least, 4 or 5 devices in their company. They probably have an office. They're probably taking credit cards. It's really important that the network stays up, and they've got some stuff going on there, right? Now, if you look at Cape Cod, there's probably about 15,000 businesses that fit that, maybe that mold. Cape Cod Hospital is probably not a client. I'm just gonna, the Air Force Base is not a client. So you can start to pick out some of those people and get really targeted, right? But if I can reach Dale Shabizian, who doesn't have that, for a penny, how many people does Dale Shabizian know that might own a company who needs IT? And then the next time someone comes to me and it's like, hey, you know a good IT company? You know, I called my old one twice. I haven't heard back. And I say, oh, I see this ad all the time on Facebook for company X. They seem legit. They've had some videos. I'll send you their information, right? So you have to think about, you know, how broad do you want to reach? The broader you reach, you can reach people for pennies right now. Do I want to go big or do I want to go small? And I would recommend even mixing it up. So if you look at I have different audiences here. I've got some insurance clients. I've got some really in-depth ones, people that have come to my website. I can serve them ads and I can create groups. If you get into the ads manager and get super smart, I could actually, I'm looking at Pam right now, I could give them her profile and say, find me more people like this and only serve this ad to those people. So now hopefully the light's going on for a lot of you, especially folks like Mark. If you can use this tool for short money and find potential customers like the ones that you're already working with. And the great thing about boosting a post that I like is I can design posts to reach anybody and then boost it to everyone, or I can design posts that would just call out to facilities managers and boost it to those facility managers. So what you can start to see here is you can start to kind of vision or whiteboard out all these different tasks you're doing, and then you can use some paid social media to kind of fill in gaps where you might not be able to reach in your marketing, you know, in your overall strategy. So once you figure out where you want to boost this, you pick the number of days, what your total budget is. So look at this, for $40, I could reach, you know, 2,000 folks for, you know, over the next few days. I'm sorry, it's 2,000 a day, 8,000 people for $40. That's kind of hard to beat, right? Now, the last caveat is if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to blow some money until you figure out exactly who your audience is and start to massage it. The best thing that I love, the last thing that I love about boosting posts is if I boost a post to somebody, so let's go to Wolfie's Dennisport. And I just use them because I mean, it's really easy to promote a bakery. You almost don't even have to try if you do a good job. So if I go here, and so 226 people like this, if I'm boosting my post out to, for this particular business, I pick everyone within a 5-mile radius. If they don't like my Facebook page or my Instagram page, but they interact with it, I can actually come in here and invite them. So you can see these folks are invited. So this person didn't like my page, but they clicked the like button when it came up as an ad. Now, because they have reached out to me, I can actually invite them to like my page. That's super important because now they've seen the ad, then they interacted with it, then you've sent them an invite. Now, next time, hopefully you won't have to pay to reach them, okay? So that's how we grew our audience very quickly with not a lot of money. Now, once you start to grow your audience, and I told Maddie this, Maddie's on the call, your milestones are every 500. When you get to 500, it's like Facebook does this thing where you just start seeing all kinds of new people liking your stuff. When you hit 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, when you get to like 3,000, you can count on, you know, 50, 100 likes, people starting to share things. I don't know why, it's just the way our world works. It's really hard to get there if you're not spending money, right? The last thing I want to talk about boosting posts is when you post something, one of the options of boosting a post is to reach the people who like your page and their friends. Now that's super important because it'll come up and say something like, Pam loves Wolfie's Bakery, click here to follow, right? And now you think, oh, is that the place she was talking about? Or, oh, back to social proof, right? If she likes it, it must be great. So, you know, that's another tool in your arsenal. And I would, like anything, it takes time to get going. Don't be discouraged. There's nothing more discouraging than you post something and 4 people like it or something happens. If you have a business that you're confident you can give information out consistently, this is the kind of stuff you have to do. There's a social media influencer professional I love. His name's Gary Vaynerchuk. If you haven't heard him, I would definitely check him out. I have a quote printed above my monitor. It says, most people do it for a month and then give up. He spent 20 years making videos that hardly anyone watched, and now he does a post and he gets like several 100,000 comments, right? I'm not saying you're going to be there. Maybe you want to be there, maybe you don't, but the point is you can't give up. You just have to keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't be discouraged. So a lot of these principles here on Facebook will transfer over into Instagram. You get a lot of the same audience type filters. Obviously, Instagram is a different platform, and we talked about the differences between the two. If you haven't checked out Facebook Insights, that is another really important, something really important for you to look at as you're doing your ads. It will break out organic versus paid. And it's an unbelievable amount of difference between the two, between an organic post and even just dropping $10 on it. You can 10x your reach. So with that said, I'm trying to find an example here of something that we boosted, just to give you an idea. So I think I dropped $10 on this. I'm averaging 1,000 to 3,000. This one's almost 6,000. This one's 8,000 for $10 or $15, right? I don't recommend this, but we put emojis in our posts. I can get away with it here. I wouldn't do that in a professional setting. Unless you're like, I don't know, you're an accountant and it's tax time and you do some dollar sign emojis and you're like, are you looking forward to April or are you saddened by it, right? So make it a little fun and drop some money on it. And I guarantee if you focus on it, that's a great way to get your name out there. So that's it for Facebook. Any questions? You got me here. I'll give you anything you want to know. This is my sad life. All I do is play around with marketing tools. So if I can save you some pain, I'm happy to help.
I have I don't know if it's a question, but, and I don't know if I've used it the right way, but with the boosting, what I'll usually do is if I notice that a certain post is getting a lot of attention, then I boost it to just make it go crazy. But if a post isn't doing that well, I'm like, well, maybe people aren't just into that or whatever.
That's a great point.
So
So how did you know, for folks that haven't experienced this yet, how did you know something was doing well? And what do you think what about that post do you think people connected with?
Mostly, I mean, when I do, especially if it has something to do, like at the beginning of the quarantine, I was doing all these little videos of like, here's how to update this dresser in your house if you're bored of looking at the way it is or whatever, change out the knobs, blah, blah, blah. People were interested in that kind of stuff. And I just was watching the views and watching the comments and things and watching if they shared or anything like that. And then more factual stuff. I mean, people they might read it, they might not. It's just not something they're totally into, I guess. I don't know. But I just basically was watching views and shares and interest. And then if it seemed like people were into it, then I would boost it so that their friends could see it too. Or people that hadn't liked the page yet.
Right. So the how-tos, were those video or photo or were you?
Video. Videos definitely I would say do better because
Absolutely.
Especially if the content is interesting or not well, and also with real estate, like if you're doing a video on the market or something like that, like people are really into, especially in this market, like how are they going to win a bidding war, something like that for the million buyers that are out there, they're like, oh my God, I need to watch that because I need that to happen for me because I'm looking for houses nonstop and I can't find one. So like information like that where it's, I guess, current, trendy, helpful information, then.
Right. So what about the live? So that's something, lives are
Yeah, I
hard,
do live.
lives are hard to do for a lot of businesses.
Mine are mostly live and I screw up in them and whatever, and it doesn't even seem to make a difference. They just like the comedy.
I mean, I don't know about, I think younger people, so my kids, they don't even Google search anymore. They YouTube a video on how to do something. Like they want to actually, if I might want to know, like, how do I restart my iPhone, right?
Yep.
This button up and this button. I just want to be like, okay, left up and this and this and this. They go to YouTube. They actually want to watch 2 minutes of someone restarting the phone. That's their generation, right? So they're curious. They're like interested in what the people are wearing. It's a different world that we're heading into versus me. I just want an answer. Like I want to get an answer and move on my way. The lives, I think people are also nosy, right? And I don't mean to point fingers at anyone, but we're nosy people. We're curious, like what people's lives are like and what their business is like. So the video is a way to bring that out and so want their lives. And, I think if you screw up, I honestly don't think people notice. I think
it's real. It's just real. It's not, you're not trying to be beautiful and have no tripping over words or whatever.
And they don't really watch the videos. They look at you, they see the dresser, they see a knob, they kind of put 2 and 2 together and they move on. They probably don't study what you're doing. They probably don't watch the whole thing. It's just that top of mind, right? So we do a lot of Zoom videos for the magazine and they get a ton of reach, but nobody watches more than 45 seconds to a minute. So I always tell folks, like, you've got 1 minute, right? I'm going to ask you a question. You've got 1 minute to get everything else out you want. And then it's kind of like, Dylan said the same thing in web pages. We install software in web pages that follow the reader and only 3% get to the bottom of the page, right? So you got to get it out quick. And social media is no different. So good observation. Thank you. Any other questions? I'm done. So this is Q&A time. Pam.
I have one. How about closed caption? I think that we haven't done it on any of our videos. Yep. And I think that I know I keep my sound off when I'm looking at my phone. Do you think that's important too?
I'm so happy you said that. I avoided closed caption for the longest time because I couldn't find software for it.
Right.
It's hugely important. So I use a product called Cap. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's either Kapwing or Capwing. And so I did an unboxing recently. Here we go. So I can't see it because the thing's in the way. So this is a free product.
Oh.
Nice pause on my double
cool.
sign. You create a free account, you upload your project, it does it all for you, and then you can go in and just fix the closed captions. So I think for videos up to 7 minutes, it's free, and then you can download it. However, the free version doesn't let you save the video. For $20, for $200 a year, you can save all your old videos and go back and re-edit them. I had the free one for like 4 months. And then I was like, this thing's so useful, I felt bad. I just gave him the $200. I'm like, I just want to pay for this because it's so great. And you can trim the videos. So like in the beginning, for some reason, when I start a video, I always go, good morning, and I clap. And I just don't like the way it looks. So I have to cut that, it lets me cut that out. It lets me trim the end. Really great product. And you're right, a lot of people have their volume off. And in Facebook now, you even have to hit the volume. So I would really, really, really recommend it. This tool is awesome. It's been great for me.
So you can download it once you finish it, and that's it with the free version?
The free version, yeah. So what will happen is it will show me all my videos and they'll be blacked out and it'll be like, you have to upgrade to go re-edit this video. But I can upload it, interact it, get it the way I want, download it, view it, make sure it's good, and then close out of the studio screen. All of that for free.
Great. Thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because I have trouble sleeping. So in the middle of the night, I'm always like, there's stuff I want to watch, and I'm like, oh, I can't, you know, unless I have headphones or something. But when it has the closed caption, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'll watch this one through.
Yep. And the other tip you will learn from doing closed captions is, maybe you won't, but I learned how horrible my speech was. I would say things like, I got an email today, you know, or hey guys. And after reading the captions, I thought to myself, do I really speak this poorly? Like, if I was reading this from someone, it does not look like a professional was speaking. So I started to take some videos, upload them, read what I was saying, and it actually helped me work on my communication skills a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit.
Can't be too formal.
No. So the other tip I can give you is I have Facebook business pages and Instagram profiles that I don't publish or promote. And when I do something new, I upload them to those pages and I view it from my phone and my computer to make sure they fit correctly and they're not cut off. Because Facebook recently, and unfortunately, started to change the way, if you look certain posts that, this is annoying, right? So last week we posted something and pinned it, and it looked great, and then they had this whole revamp thing, and I come back and look at the way my post looks now. So I really highly recommend create a fake page, upload your stuff to this. So like this, you know, this is good, but the 3-person Zoom thing is kind of tough. You can start to, here's my closed caption. You can start to see like, well, how do I get rid of the black lines? And then you start to get picky about it. I would recommend just start easy with the captions and build on it from there. So, all right, any other questions? We've got 8 minutes left.
I have one more, sorry.
That's okay, go ahead.
I see that you're doing vertical. And I read somewhere that that's the way to do your videos now, vertical more than horizontal. Are you doing that on purpose?
So in Kapwing, so I took this video from my phone. I have an iPhone XR. It does great video. The Zoom ones you can't, unfortunately, you can't do much with. But when you're in, where am I? If I open this project, right, and I edit it, this particular version will let me change the ratio, but it's going to cut the sides off. So this is how it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I can come in and, where is it? I forget where it is. Oh, right here. So it will actually.
But you're doing that specifically for Facebook on your phone? I mean, for people using Facebook on their phone? You're doing the vertical?
Right. So this particular video I recorded with, I have a webcam. This is how it was recorded. So if I put this on Facebook, it's going to have the cutoff sides. However, when I bring it into Kapwing, or Kapwing, whatever the heck you call this thing, I can change the aspect and export it so that it will look better on Facebook. Can you see how that changes?
Yeah, big deal.
But it screws up my captions, so then I got to go back and regenerate the captions. It's a lot of work. So if you're going to do a video, which I super, super, super highly recommend, you have to get really good at learning how to do it the first time on the first take with no editing, right? And I think you're going to make mistakes. Going to have to live with it. My feeling is, so it's my personality. I want someone to see me. It's like we're having a conversation. It's not this polished. I can go down to the media center right down the street from me. They have a set, they have boom mics and everything, and I could create this really professional looking thing. That's not what I'm looking for. I want it to be personal, more like we're having a conversation eye to eye almost. So I'm a little bit more lenient with going back and fixing things and worrying about the ratio. I just want people to hear from me, you know? So that's my, not all companies can do that. You know, if you were a bank, for example, I wouldn't be doing these kind of videos, but I think for a lot of us, if we have a connection with our customer, this is acceptable. Any follow-up questions, comments?
Yes, there. So I track like where our competitors are as far as growth on like social media platforms as well as our own. And what I've noticed is like certain competitors grow a lot rapidly than us, but we're the ones posting more than they are. So like I haven't figured out whether like they're posting posts. This is mainly on Instagram. It does have to do with Facebook a little bit, but yeah, I just can't figure it out.
Okay, I apologize. There was some background noise. Can you say the first part again?
Sure. So I follow our competitors and I track their follower progress on like a monthly rate as well as ours and see how many followers they gained as well we gained. And we post more and I feel like more consistently than them, but they're growing at a much more rapid rate than we are.
Okay, so this is on Instagram only or Instagram and Facebook?
The biggest impact would probably be Instagram. There's a little bit with Facebook. And on LinkedIn, it's actually the reverse. We grow faster than we do. But LinkedIn just enabled this new feature where you actually see who's following your page. And it's been a lot of random.
Okay, so you said a lot of important things. It's expensive to advertise on LinkedIn. Just to boost a post is a minimum amount. I forget what it is. It's a lot of money. You can't just drop $5 and hit some folks. It's expensive. I want to say it's in the hundreds of dollars, and you have to have. It's a much more invested platform.
Yes, it is.
But the fact that you're doing better there than on other social, I would think the competitor is. You're doing a couple things. They're using some automation software to get random bot accounts to follow them, which is very common in Instagram. And the way you can find that out is start to look at their followers and look at their profiles. Does it look like a fake person? Are they out of if they're non-US profiles, that's a dead giveaway that they're just spamming accounts to follow them. See how many posts they have. If they don't have a lot of posts or it looks really spammy, they're probably just junk followers, junk engagement. I can literally go and buy Instagram followers and buy engagement right now. So 100 follower, 1,000 followers for $13. You're technically breaking Instagram's policy doing that. It's not recommended. It's usually bad accounts. So that's one thing they could be doing. The second thing they could be doing is just straight up advertising. When you post something on Instagram, I mean, if you're consistently dropping $10 3 or 4 times a week and reaching an extra several hundred people with engaging content, you're going to grow your audience much faster. I would try and budget some money aside, save even $30 a week, and look at it over a couple months and see how you start comparing to your competitor. The only other thing is the content could be better, right? I'm not saying that it is, but that's a variable. So try and do more video, try and be more personable, try and offer more information, see what's working, what isn't. That would be the last thing I would try. However, based on what you're saying, I think that's probably the least likely. Does that help?
It did. I don't think they're buying bots because I have creeped down their posts and their followers. It doesn't seem anything like suspicious. And then, yeah, like they're posting like one great image while we're doing multiple images a week when they're doing it probably once every 3 weeks. And then as far as advertising, is there a way to figure out which accounts are advertising without as like just a follower? Or is that not like, because you know how in Google, like, you can like search results, like the top and bottom is like listing
Yeah.
is advertised. Is that not capable on social media?
Say that last part again. There's some background noise again. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So on Google, you can see which like listings are like, this is an ad. Like if you search for something on social media, like Instagram, for example, like I don't see that. So is that something that's just hidden and that's just really a great mystery of whether someone's paying like money towards it?
To my knowledge, you wouldn't necessarily know someone's sponsoring ads unless you were served a sponsored ad, right? So they keep that pretty locked down. Are you doing stories?
We do. Yes, we have not tried for those yet, though.
Okay, so if I were you, I would try and sponsor a couple stories, try to sponsor some posts. I'd look at my hashtags, that's another one. I mean, hashtags aren't hugely effective unless it really depends on the industry. I mean, you know, what industry are you in again? I'm sorry.
So we are an architecture, interior design, and landscape.
Okay.
firm. So
Wasn't sure.
we do use hashtags and we try to customize it to whatever the post is. And I just feel like that's just like throwing darts at a dartboard at times.
I mean, hashtags are great for your industry because if someone's doing a project on their home or office and they search for something like modern farmhouse, right? It's likely that someone might be looking on Instagram for pictures related to that. I would think they're probably going to go to a place like Houzz, use the Houzz app personally, but it's possible. You know, I would say if you want, let's take this offline and I can do some research for you, but I would almost start over, like start your experience over. What's your goal? Focus on the pictures, the hashtag, and then honestly, you know, the algorithm is tricky, you know, they could be on longer. Your competitor could have all their staff member liking the posts and all their friends and they're just popular and people are liking it. So, you know, Instagram starts to think, wow, this is popular content. I'm going to serve this out to more people. It could be as simple as that. There's a lot of different factors. But, you know, I think among all those things I said, there's something in there. You got to try and, you either have to do all of them. My opinion is I would try all of them and see if that levels the playing field, or I would do one at a time and see if there was one thing that you notice a boost in and focus on that one thing. That would be my recommendation. And don't give up. Is that helpful?
Yeah, it was. Thank you.
Okay. So, all right, folks. Anything else? Anyone else? Going once. Someone's got a question out there. They're just afraid to ask. All right. So with that said, we will conclude this series. If you were here the whole time, you'll get a certificate. I don't know what you'll do with it. Maybe Thea will use it in her wood stove. It's gas. As always, I'm going to follow up with an email. I'll put this up on YouTube. You've got access to me, whatever, you know, I told you I'd give you 60 minutes, whatever you want, to help you do whatever you want. And then as the new seminars come out, I'll just shoot you a note, say, hey, this is coming out. It'll be on our newsletter. If you want to get updates, here it is. If not, I'll go away until you need something in the future.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, have a great day, everyone. And thanks again.
You too. Thank you,
Dale.
Dale. Appreciate
Bye.
it. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
His employees could say no.